Hello, we have made it to Friday and it is March 1st and I got bills to pay. Speaking of bills, earlier today, um my psychiatrist's office called me. And before I actually had the appointment, there was like I missed my last appointment. So you get billed for that and stuff like that. And they mentioned that, of course, I have a balance for it. I have a fee. They're like, "How will you be paying for that?" I was like, "How much is it?" The 240 some dollars. I was like, "No, no, no, I'm not paying for that today." It was pretty funny though because we was both on the phone laughing about it because it's the first of the month and we gotta pay rent. We gotta do all of that stuff. I got a sty in my eye. You can probably see it right here. It's not Andy. What's going on? I actually got your email pulled up. I'm gonna be replying to you either tonight or tomorrow. What's going on? How you doing? I'm doing well. I got a sty in my eye. Today. My name is Sty in my eye Steve. It'll go away though. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that happens from time to time. Could be a whole lot worse. Could be a whole lot worse. So today I am Sty in my eye Steve, and I also have a 240 something dollar balance due for some healthcare stuff that I won't be paying, at least not in the next month or so. It's just for some medication. I just have ADHD, you know what I'm saying? So it's not that big of a deal. But it was pretty funny. It was a really funny exchange. I ended up having my call. And it's always funny too, because the psychiatrists, they're medical doctors. Psychiatrists and counselors and psychologists aren't the same. Psychiatrists, they call you, all they really give a fuck about is this motherfucker alive? They all they care about, are you alive? Are you going to are you going to off yourself? No? Okay, good. And then they'll send you the next prescription. They basically see like if you're suicidal. And if you're suicidal, maybe they won't give you that prescription or they'll suggest another one for you. So then they'll send you two or three subscriptions. But like they'll ask you, just psychiatrists will ask you general questions about your life. And if you get to talking too much, you're like, I don't care. I don't care. Save that shit for your counselor. Save that for your therapist. All I care about is if you're suicidal or not. And if you're not, then I'll give you more medication. That's pretty much what they do. But no, that shit is hilarious. Scott, what's going on? We got Alonzo in the building. We got Elisa, Monk without a cause, Teddy. What's going on? How's everybody doing? Libby. But yeah, no, that shit is hilarious. Oh well, my psychiatrist again. At least my experience with psychiatrists, they're not therapists. So if you get to talking too much, it's like this isn't really what I do, bro. I'm not really here to care about your problems. I'm just here to, give you some prescription medication. Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Annie and I, we gonna set up a conversation. We gonna set up a conversation. She's running out of Washington, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. So we'll keep you posted. But but yeah, no. So we got a couple of things to go over today. Matter of fact, typically whenever we have anything to do with abortion news, abortion protection, we cover it here because it's very important. And also too, not only that, um but you know it takes quite some time to collect a lot of metadata. Metadata can take 5, 10 plus years to collect, so you can really see the trend on things. Metadata for the reversal of Roe v. Wade will include state by state data, data that differentiates between people in different classes, different tax brackets, the increase or decrease in poverty in certain areas, how that impacts the education system, how it impacts the healthcare system, how it impacts the welfare system. All of that data is going to be collected, over the next forever on now. So it's important that we really stay on top of stuff like this. But let us begin here. Two of the biggest US pharmacy chains to stock Mifepristone abortion pill, which is CVS and Walgreens. All right. Two of the largest pharmacy chains in the US, CVS and Walgreens, will start selling the abortion pill Mifepristone on prescription at stores in several US states later this month, the US Times reported on Friday, citing interviews with officials at both companies. Um, Joe Biden quickly applauded the decision, issuing a statement from the White House hailing an important milestone in maintaining access to the pill and encourage other pharmacies to pursue similar options. With major retail pharmacy chains newly certified to dispense medication abortion, many women will soon have the option to pick up their prescription at a local certified pharmacy, just as they would for any other medication, Joe Biden said. The stakes could not be higher for women across the country, he added. The two pharmacy chains will not be providing the medicine by mail, the newspaper reported. In the coming weeks, CVS will begin filling prescriptions for the abortion medication Mifepristone in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Damn, so just those two states. Alonzo, sometime in the next couple of weeks. I know I got an email about um the power panel. I'll be on several times this month. I'll definitely let y'all know. Uh, oh yeah, Annie, exactly. Yeah, that's why I said it's always, to be funny because sometimes at least you might get to talking and be like, well, man, I'm not really here to do the therapy. I'm just here to give you some medicine. I've definitely gotten caught up with that before. Like, oh, like I'm ready to just dump out all my problems and stuff, and it's like, well, I don't really know what to tell you, man. All right, okay, where were we? So we were at Massachusetts and Rhode Island. The pharmacy chain said it received certification to dispense the medication in states where abortion is still legal. And CVS intended to add those states to its distribution on a rolling basis. Meanwhile, Walgreens will begin providing the pill in a select number of pharmacies in California, New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. So again, CVS was Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Walgreens is California, New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. Quote, we are beginning a phased rollout in select locations to allow us to ensure quality, safety, and privacy for our patients, providers, and team members, a Walgreens spokesperson. Frazier and Gurman told the Times. Although both states have plans to expand dispensing the medication to other states where it is legally permissible, have held off they have held off on expanding access where abortion bans are still in place. Yeah, I mean, and that's really the bigger issue is where these things are illegal. Because I mean, in the blue states, it's all good. I mean, even in some of the red states, it's still all good. But that's really just come down to people showing up to the polls for the ballot initiatives. But other than that, I mean, if you're, women who live in red states that have passed all these bans, they're not gonna have access to it. All right, now let's see, where are we? The latest news comes as Republican led states have widely blocked access to abortion since the U.S. Supreme Court in 2022 overturned the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade decision, making access to abortion a national right in the U.S. Again, one of the most unnecessary political moves ever. Because, I mean, one, obviously, because of all the damage that it's causing already and will continue to cause, not just to people's personal individual lives and experiences, but also to the economy at large. It's gonna have negative impacts. It already is, and it will continue to. So not only was it incredibly unnecessary and bad political move on that front, but also the right wing movement has really taken a huge hit in this country in terms of just its saleability to people. You know, um, over the last several years, especially since 2022. I mean, before that, but especially since the reversal of Roe v. Wade, we're looking at every single election. Democrats are not just winning, but overperforming at the polls. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that people are showing up to vote to protect abortion access. So it just wasn't the thing to do for so many reasons. All right. It was 2000 when the FDA approved Mifepristone to terminate pregnancies of up to 10 weeks when used with the second drug, misoprostol. And then I believe too that there's other Um, you like hormonal things that some women take Mifepristone for as well, not just for pregnancy terminations. But yes, again, anytime we have a little bit of access to anything that has to do with that, we're gonna go over it. Um, maybe we can do this one on. I gotta open this up on a different page. So, all right, let's see what Donald Trump talking about. So, I think he was. I think these are clips of him basically saying that, like, nobody speaks nobody speaks these foreign languages. Morbius, thank you so much for the one gifted sub. Whoever gets it, welcome aboard. Oh, you were gifted it. Hold on, who gave it out? I couldn't even see who gave it out. Well, whoever gets it, thank you for coming aboard. Okay, there we go. We got Teddy. We got Teddy just came aboard. Welcome aboard, brother Teddy and Morbius Dragon. Thank you so much for the gifted membership. I truly appreciate that. But yeah, so again, apparently Donald Trump was at one of his rallies and he made the genius comment that nobody speaks foreign languages in the United States anymore. I mean, nobody does that shit anymore. So let's hear it from the horse's mouth because this ought to be great. This really ought to be great.
Because everybody I speak to says how horrible it is. Nobody explained to me how allowing millions of people from places unknown, from countries unknown, who don't speak languages. We have languages coming into our country. We have nobody that even speaks those languages. They're truly foreign languages. Nobody speaks them.
I mean, like it's just the endless defense of Donald Trump by his supporters. I mean, the things that Donald Trump says overwhelmingly are just dumb, and there might be some tiny grain of truth in it, and then his supporters be like, well, well, that's not actually what he was saying. He was joking. He was just making fun. It's like, don't you think y'all can do better than that? No, the entertainment is the point. You know what I'm saying? The entertainment is the point. But that was incredible. This dude, not only did he say nobody speaks these languages, like, okay, Donald Trump, but also he said we have no clue where these people are coming from. Like, yes, we do. The arguments that it's like, when Democrats are in office, all of a sudden it's like we have no clue what's going on. Nobody knows anything whatsoever. And then, the whole sale about how Donald Trump's like, oh, we gotta send everybody back. We gotta send all these people home. But he sent less people home his first term than Obama did. Obama sent more people back than he did. So it's just like, y'all don't really care about the issue. You just care about the argument. It's really just the argument and the sentiment. Because if you cared about the issue, then you'd be like, oh damn, Barack Obama kicked more people out than Donald Trump did. And but Donald Trump's whole brand basically is that, if you aren't a white evangelical Republican or at least a white Republican, you really don't have that much of a place.
Because everybody I speak to says how horrible it is. Nobody explained to me how allowing millions of people from places unknown, from countries unknown.
From countries unknown, from places unknown. Like, what year do you think it is? Like, we know where all the continents are located. We know where all the countries are. Like, what are you even talking about? From countries unknown. Like, and again, the United States is the wealthiest, nation in history. Our government and our military knows what's going on.
Who don't speak languages. We have languages coming into our country. We have nobody that even speaks those languages. They're truly foreign languages. Nobody speaks them.
And then too, like the United States was built by immigrants. It's just there's no end game to them. Well, there's an end game to it, but it's like it's just hollow all the way through. It's all a bunch of bullshit. It's all stupid. It's just like I'm wrong and I don't care. Like proudly wrong, proudly just off track with everything. Like, what the hell did you even just say? And then again, his supporters will be like, "Oh, he's just joking. He's just making jest." Okay. Everything's a joke, but they like it. They like it. And that's why, that's why he still may yet win the election because millions and millions of people like this bullshit. Right. Like exactly, Aaron. Like, this Donald Trump is one of the most ridiculous people you can possibly think of. And it's like, well, it's embarrassing. Like, how do you even engage? How do you even have real conversations with Trump supporters, diehard ones at least? Like he this dude gets almost $500 million in fines, and it's like, oh, it's just the corrupt government. It's all fake. He only has 25. He doesn't even have the money. That's a good indication that he's not as wealthy as he says he is. I mean, it's so embarrassing. All right, what's up now? Maria Bartiromo. Blast Biden administration for encouraging Americans to register to vote. And again, like on the other side of the aisle, you got this. These people are so threatened by a movement of acceptance, basically, that they're willing to get rid of democracy because they just, I mean, it's not even just the fear, it's the realization. These people know that they really can't win in the long run in a democratic approach. They can't. Your platform is anti-woman, anti-black, anti-brown, anti-gay, anti-trans, anti child care. It's anti so many things, anti education. Let's get rid of the education department. Anti environmental science. Who needs it? Yeah, no, you can't win democratically that way because the majority of people just aren't going to just all of a sudden wake up and be okay with this bullshit. And what a bunch of losers too, when you think about it. Hopefully this loads up. Maybe it won't. But what a bunch of losers when you think about it too. These people are old, and it's not a bad thing to be older of age, but like after a while, it's just kind of like, you've lived most of your life. Go be happy. Go be happy somewhere. You acting well, I guess I don't know. We can't watch the video, but it's not that big of a deal. Well, here's a link over here. Here, I'll pull it up on this other page. Like, go live your lives. Like, y'all have had illustrious careers. You make plenty of money, but obviously they're speaking to a big chunk of the country that doesn't. All right, let's see. Here we go.
While you're dealing with all of that, you also have to ensure that the 2024 election is a fair and free election. And I want to know what you're doing in terms of riling up the base to come out and vote, because that's all the Democrats are thinking about right now. There's a piece right now in the Federalist, 9 ways the feds are using Biden bucks to.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's like, Scott, it's like after a while, it's like, dude, just admit that you're just entertained by it. Like you just like the show because otherwise, I mean, what can you really say? It's all fake. Like, come on, man. It's all everybody tripping. Nah, bro, you tripping.
To rig the 2024 election, writes Sean Fleetwood at the Federalist. And they're going through the fact that this is a whole government approach to get young people, to get people to come out and vote Democrat, even get people at the border and anybody who is remotely allowed to vote to get out and vote Democrat. Here are the agencies that the Biden administration is asking to get involved. Office of Personnel Management, Department of Education. By the way, the Department of Education says that universities have to make a good faith effort to make mail voter registration forms widely available to students, and they informed colleges that they may use work-study funds, so taxpayer dollars, which are used to provide part-time campus jobs to help students with tuition costs. They want them to use that money to pay students to support voter registration activities.
I mean, what type of a geek like God, like, and again, like so much of being old is like a mentality type of thing too. I mean, obviously your body's gonna age and stuff, but a lot of that really is just kind of mentality and spirit. And it's like you all have such, just your spirits are old, your mentality's old. Like you're you're complaining, the same people who are like, "Oh, our founding fathers are the best thing ever. They were geniuses," even though the founding fathers really didn't know what the fuck they were doing. I mean, sure, you can give them credit, but only so much. Because I mean, look what they were doing. Like they formed this nation, but at what cost? Um, but at the end of the day, the some of the pillars of this nation and what this country is supposed to stand for is democracy. That is a lot of what the United States is supposed to be about, and in a lot of it, that's a lot of what the United States is about. It's a lot of how we've gotten to where we've gotten. I mean, we've overcome a lot of BS, but at the end of the day, how more conservative does it get than to protect the democratic structure of our country? And you sitting up here complaining that people, oh, like taxpayer dollars being spent to vote. I mean, these people are so full of shit, man. And it's not like this is new information. It's just like this is some of why I'm really starting to venture off into like covering and talking about other stuff, because you just talk in circles after a while. What more is there to say about these people? They're authoritarians. That's it. Like they just want their way at all costs. They pretend to be reasonable, but they're not. It's the mob approach. It's the gangster approach. It's the facade of reasonability. It's like, these men of honor who are reasonable. Like, no, they're not reasonable. They're not men of honor, because if they don't get their way, they'll hurt you or kill you. Like they'll negotiate with you up until they realize that you ain't not gonna do what they want, and then they'll just make what they want happen. It's the same shit. Like these people are not reasonable. They just want their way. The end. And you can't really work with people like that. You can't, because they don't care about what you want. They care about what they want. That's it.
Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Homeland Security, Department of Agriculture, Department of Labor, Department of Veterans Affairs, Department of Treasury, Department of Interior. What are the Republicans doing?
Well, number one, we have to defund a number of these efforts, which we've passed in 7 appropriations bills that are sitting at the.
Yes, exactly. They were old when they were born. Because again, I mean, obviously your body gets older, but man, so much of that is really mentality and your spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like your belief in and hope for a future, or something like that. That's really a lot of what it is.
The feet of Chuck Schumer. And we have to fight to whether it's them or whether it's, for example, the corrupt UN agencies that are supporting Hamas over in Israel, which we've also defunded. That's one, Maria. Number two, we've got to fight it in the courts.
What did he just say?
To whether it's them bills that are sitting at the feet of Chuck Schumer. And we have to fight to whether it's them or whether it's, for example, the corrupt UN agencies that are supporting Hamas over in Israel, which we've also defunded. That's one, Maria. Number two.
He said we defunded Israel. That's hilarious. What? He said we defunded Israel. Dude. Okay, here's another one, I guess. I scrolled past a different one.
Because I'm reading a story this morning from the Federalist, and it's called 9 Ways the Feds Are Using Biden Bucks to Rig the 2024 Election. And it goes through all the federal agencies that Joe Biden has put on watch to actually engage voters and supply voter registration services on agency premises. And that includes the Office of Personnel Management, the Department of Education, the Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Homeland Security.
Kid in the Orange Tabby, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything. I appreciate everybody. Things are really coming along. We're doing everything organically, but as it continues to warm up, I'm really going to get busy out here connecting with more people, bringing more people on the channel, all types of stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much. Y'all are awesome. I love and appreciate all of you. But I mean, like, she's really sitting up here complaining, like, she's like she's really angry about this. And you know, there's a lot to criticize the Biden administration for, but this is certainly not one of them. This is certainly not one of the things to criticize him for.
The Department of Veterans Affairs, the Department of Labor, the Department of Interior, the Department of the Treasury. Okay, so what are you all doing about it on the Republican side as the government?
What are you doing about it? How are you stopping these people from registering citizens to vote?
Biden's government, Biden's administration seems to be using a whole-on government approach to get people to vote Democrat.
Lisa, welcome aboard. Morbius, thank you for gifting another membership. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, and you've seen the weaponization of government. In fact, we set up a committee just to look into the weaponization of government. There are a lot of lawsuits when Joe Biden said, hey, we're going to waive student loan debt. That was taken to court. Ultimately, the court said, no, he can't do that. He's going to continue to push the envelope. And look, if the election was held today, we would win. I think we'd run the table. The election's not today. It's 8 months from now. And
It's 8 months from now, and if we're not careful, it's going to be too many people registered to vote. You know, because again, like Biden is, you know, not doing well. He continues to not do well, but at the same time, Donald Trump is continuously underperforming his poll numbers by like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. So, I mean, both of these guys, it's still really not clear who's going to win because, again, like I said, Joe Biden's losing in the polls, but Donald Trump is underperforming his polls. So we got to stop. We got to stop the vote. We got to stop people from registering to vote. And it's nothing new, but it's just really pathetic to see. All right, let's see what's up. Let's get into. Let's check this out with Medhi Hasan. Medhi Hasan goes scorched earth on Biden, accuses him of risking the future of American democracy for Bibi and the rest of the fascists in Israel. Let's see what he has to say.
Again, as a reminder, Palestinians have lived through 145 days of near nonstop death. They've now had to watch more people die. The only question tonight is this a tipping point? Or will this get lost in the fog of war? It's just another day, another unfortunate series of events that ended with death and without change. Joining me now, Medhi Hasan. He's the founder of Zato News. It launches on Substack next month, and his book, Win Every Argument, is also out now on paperback. Medhi, thanks for joining us tonight. It's good to see you. Look, Israel, as we just laid out in the last few hours, have tried to frame this as a tragedy, but just not one that is their fault. The IDF says it fired warning shots to try to disperse the crowd around that convoy. Do you lend any credibility to that explanation? And from the eyes of the world, does it matter what the explanation is for what we saw unfold?
Well, Abby, thanks so much for having me on the show, and thank you for that very important, very powerful intro you did just there. In terms of believing the Israelis, I would say that it took multiple innocent black people to die at the hands of police in this country, whether it's Breonna Taylor, whether it's Freddie Gray, whether it's George Floyd, for people in our industry, Abby, to start saying, well, maybe we shouldn't just blindly believe police statements after shootings happen. And I feel like we still haven't quite reached that point in the Middle East with the Israeli military. The Israeli military tend to say things that turn out not to be true, both before Gaza, when they killed Shireen Abu Akleh, a US citizen, and lied about it, or even during this conflict. So many lies the Israeli military has told about, you know, a terrorist guard list under the Rantisi hospital, a command and control center under the Al-Shifa hospital, a documentary in Lebanon that they claimed was Palestinians faking their own wounds. So many you can't even count. And now we are told today, well, actually, it was just a stampede, even though eyewitnesses, Abby, say that the Israelis opened fire. Israeli tanks opened fire without warning, according to one eyewitness in the Washington Post. Doctors say that the bodies they got at the hospital, you showed the pictures of people on donkeys, were mostly bullet wounds, not stampede wounds. The Israelis opened fire on hungry people trying to get flour. It's being called a flour massacre for that reason. And you asked, is it a tipping point? I mean, in any normal world, it should be. in any other conflict it would be, Abby. When Putin did stuff like this in Ukraine, we condemned him. When Assad did stuff like this in Syria, we condemned him. When Israel starves hundreds of thousands.
And it's unfortunately the Biden administration, as well as other world powers, are doing next to nothing to stop Bibi Netanyahu from, just flat out annihilating Palestinians in Gaza. But it's really not. It's very apparent that the whole notion of, well, the overwhelming majority of people are just fully behind Israel. No, I mean, come on, man. First and foremost, when you peel your eyes off of the highly politically involved, like the very politically involved conservatives and very politically involved liberals, man, people don't know people don't know nothing about no goddamn Israel. I mean, people may know about it now, because of what's happening. Like a lot of people are just now, which is fine and no fault to their own, but a lot of people since October are kind of just now aware of what's been happening in Israel Palestine region. Up until then, a lot of people had no clue. So, and then again, just look around you. Not even just that when you look at the polls and the results, and you look at what happened with the uncommitted vote tab in Michigan the other day. I mean, just open up social media and you'll see public outrage with what's happening. You'll see it all around you. So it's just not selling that, oh, well, people are just totally behind Israel. Like, no, they're not. That's bullshit.
Of people and then shoots people who go to get flour. Where's the condemnation for the United States government? The State Department spokesman would not condemn Israel today. So it's a tragedy. Is it a tipping point? I wish it was. I suspect it isn't.
What President Biden has said is that he has acknowledged the events that happened and says it will likely complicate the negotiations that they've been working on for a temporary ceasefire. From Biden's perspective, do you think this could be the incident that pushes him to actually rethink how he approaches this relationship with this particular Israeli government and this war?
As I argued in a Guardian piece recently, Joe Biden has the power to pick up the phone and end this war. He can ring the Israeli prime minister and say, we're cutting you off. We're cutting off aid. We're cutting off armaments. Israelis themselves, Israeli generals say, we can't do this war without America. He hasn't done it. He didn't do it after 10,000 dead. He didn't do it after 20,000 dead. Today we crossed 30,000 dead. You have to ask the question why. This is a man who's seen as the great comforter in chief, the great empath, has had huge personal tragedy in his own family, and yet 30,000 Palestinians, according to his own defense secretary today, 25,000 women and children. How on earth has he not stopped the war till now? How on earth are we still debating this? And Abby, on the situation on aid, I just got to point out here, 4 out of 5 of the hungriest people in the world are in Gaza right now. Even with or without those aid trucks, people are starving. A 2-month-old baby called Mahmoud Fatou starved to death earlier this week in Gaza. This is not a natural disaster. This is a man-made famine. Food is plentiful. It's available. It's a few miles away, and yet it's being blocked.
And two, I think what's also clear is, caring isn't enough. You have to have courage, and you have to have like conviction. So like it doesn't really matter if Biden cares or not. It's his conviction to honestly be powerful, to be powerful at all. Because like Medhi just said, Joe Biden is in a position where he can just pick up a phone and be like, look, listen, this is what it is. Joe Biden can tell people to fuck off who tell him, no, we can't do this. He can be like, I'm the president. So either we do it or you're fired. Fuck you. But, Biden this is one of the issues of him being the age that he is. But not even just that. He doesn't really have the fire, and he never was that person. I mean, he's never been somebody who was like a big fighter for the little man. So it's not like that's been inside of him anyway. Now, hopefully, there's still 8 months to the election. Hopefully he does something, but until he does, then him saying Netanyahu's a pain in my ass, like that doesn't really mean anything, but again, it doesn't really matter if you care. What matters is if you don't do something about it.
blocked.
Do
In
you
fact, at the Israeli crossing, Abby, I don't know how many CNN viewers know that people are putting up bouncy castles, Israeli protesters, and eating popcorn and candy, cotton candy, and blocking the aid. That is crazy.
Do you think, Medhi, that there is, look, I think you understand that you say President Biden can just pick up the phone and cut it all off. You also understand he probably won't do that. So if you were to give him advice today, knowing what he is likely to be able to get to a yes on, what is the one thing that you think he should do today that would make this better, marginally better tomorrow for Gazans?
I mean, simply it is get a ceasefire, and it is within his power to get a ceasefire. It's within the power of the UN Security Council to get a ceasefire. Remember, the rest of the world wants a ceasefire. It's America that has blocked this at the UN Security Council. Even other Western nations have backed a ceasefire. It's Biden blocking it.
So if,
and you
but
say
if he's able
marginally
to
bad, I'm
get
so glad.
if he's able to get that ceasefire that he's been discussing over the weekend, you would view that as progress?
Anything at this point is progress when hundreds of people are being killed every day. But I would point out, you used the right word, marginally better. A new study came out this week that said even if you get a ceasefire tomorrow, 6,500 Palestinians will die in the next 6 months from the public health conditions. And if you don't get a ceasefire tomorrow, 58,000 Palestinians will die over the next 6 months. We will be complicit in that. It's our weaponry, it's our money, it's our diplomatic support, and our president can stop this. And I hope he does.
Real quick,
but I don't think he will.
Before you go, I mean, obviously, you know, this has become a major political issue for the president. Do you think that if it does cost,
this is, like, if Biden would have went further on a whole lot of other things, then he may not be in the hot water that he's in now. For instance, like if he would have been able to succeed with his student loan debt plan or gotten a lot closer to what he initially proposed, then people would feel, the general public may feel more like, well, I'm not happy with what's going on and how they're handling the Middle East, but at least he got something pretty big done for the country. So I'm motivated to go to the polls. But it's just the things that Joe Biden has done. Whether it be the CHIPS Act, whether it be he significantly cut down drone strikes compared to what they were under both Trump and Obama. Anything along those lines, bringing manufacturing jobs back. It's not like it doesn't have enough oomph to it. People are just kind of like, eh. So yeah, that really continues to be an issue for him.
cost him the presidency that it should, given his decisions on this war?
What I would say is that Joe Biden has rightly said for the last few years that Donald Trump poses an existential threat to our democracy. The idea that he would risk not only his own presidency, but the future of American democracy for the sake of Benjamin Netanyahu and Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich and the rest of the fascists in Israel is bizarre and inexplicable to me.
All right, Medhi, Hasan, thank you very much for all of that.
Thanks, Abby.
And also too, I've just come to realize, like, one of the realities of, like, man, just because you're in a seat doesn't mean that you're doing anything for real. Like oftentimes people just kind of cruise through their terms, at whatever level government that is, because there's not always something that's really crucial and critical to deal with. So, like, whenever something really big does come up that people have to address, oftentimes they're just like, I'm just kind of used to not really doing much. I'm kind of used to that, so I think I'll just keep it up. And honestly, that's kind of a lot of how it goes. But it definitely is. It really is a ridiculous tragedy. How many deaths, how much destruction, how much history, how much future and opportunity is just being erased from the Palestinian people. Just because just because of the government, just because of the Israeli government, just because of what they got going on, just because of how they approaching it. It's like, no, we have to take it all, but it's just not selling. Okay, hold on. Now let's get into some of these key races for Super Tuesday. All right, let's see what's up. 12 Super Tuesday primaries to watch in California and Alabama. We're not watching all 47 minutes of this, but in Alabama, we got the first and second congressional districts. Polls close at 8 p.m. Eastern. So they got the redistricting seismically impacted two congressional districts in Alabama, precipitating high stakes primaries in each. Under the new lines, the second district runs from Mobile in the state's southwest corner to the east across of Alabama's Black Belt, including Montgomery. The seat has a voting age population that's almost 50% Black, and President Joe Biden would have carried it by 12 percentage points in 2020. The Democratic race has 11 candidates on the ballot looking to capitalize on such favorable turf. But that has made it unlikely that one Democrat will clinch the nomination with a majority primary vote. Okay, so we got again in Alabama, the first and second congressional districts. The first district became one of the reddest districts in the country under the new lines. We need ranked choice voting. We need so many things. we need so many things, man. California. Sheesh. Okay, we got for the US Senate. We got the Senate, and then we also got the 16th, 20th, 22nd, 30th, 31st, 40th, 45th, 47th, 49th congressional districts, with the polls closing at 11 p.m. Eastern time. And there's some really good candidates in the California Senate race too. We got, well, the two best to come to mind is Katie Porter and Barbara Lee. Who's ahead in the California Senate? Top two primary. Adam Schiff is winning, with Katie Porter in second. To look, what is this? Adam Schiff. Okay, Adam Schiff got +5. Schiff got 25.5. Porter got 18.4. Barbara Lee got 9.1. But I mean, Katie Porter, she's got a lot of time. She's got a lot of time. So if she, this is pretty good. I mean, Adam Schiff, he's just, when it comes to Washington politics, Adam Schiff just has more power. He has more clout. He has more push when in the government. But Katie Porter is very popular with the people, and she's also, even though she's progressive in the establishment, isn't necessarily, she's still someone who's very intriguing, useful, and needed by more centrist establishment people, because she can really bridge the divide. She's just an effective communicator, and she's an effective politician. So I expect Katie Porter, she if she becomes senator, like next go round or something, or at some point, I really won't be surprised about that. If not, she'll continue to be a powerhouse in the House. But she's really good at what she does. She just is. All right. And we got, let's see, we got a couple in Texas. Texas races and Super Tuesday. Key races to watch in Texas on Super Tuesday. This is former Rep. Maya Flores. Texas has the nation's second largest congressional delegation, though only a fraction of its primaries this year are competitive. The Lone Star State does have a marquee Senate primary, as Democrats Colin Allred, and a former NFL player and civil rights lawyer serving his third term in the House, and State Senator Roland Gutierrez vie for the right to take on Republican Senator Ted Cruz in November. And man, we got to get this dude out of here. I mean, I expect him to get all the donation in the world from Republican donors, but he's just not popular. There is a pack called the Lose Cruz Pack. You know what I'm saying? We got to get Ted Cruz out. Look, listen. If there's one victory that we can get in November, well, the overall Democrats are going to do well in November. Like, don't get that confused. You know, Joe Biden may not win. You know, Donald Trump may become president, but overall, the Democrats are going to do very well in November. They just will. And hopefully that includes Ted Cruz' career coming to an end in the Senate. Good riddance. Let's get this guy out of here. The state also has a competitive House seat in the 23rd district where Rep. Tony Gonzalez angered his fellow Republicans by supporting gun safety legislation. Nope, can't do that. Can't have that. In 2022, in his stance on border security, and now faces challenges from his party's right flank. Now, November matchups in two battleground districts will also come into focus on March 5th, which is in a few days. In the 15th district, Republican Rep. Monica de la Cruz and Democrat Michelle Vallejo are looking to get past challenges in their parties to set up a repeat of the 2022 race, which is rated lean Republican by Inside Elections with Nathan Gonzalez. Then we got the 34th district with Vicente Gonzalez. He's going unopposed. Maya Flores is trying to come back. The 12th district and the 26th district as well, and the 32nd. District 12, District 26, and District 32. So we'll keep all our eyes peeled for that. But man, if there's anything, oh God, man, look, listen, like I said, Democrats overall are going to do well in November. And hopefully that includes getting Ted Cruz out of the Senate. Man, people will celebrate in the streets. Look, listen, we get Ted Cruz up out of the Senate. Like literally the country will celebrate. Like the memes will be unlike anything we've ever seen before. It's going to be the best memes anybody's ever seen in their life. Okay, apparently we're going to do some airdrops of aid to Gaza. Right, that's why I said it right, Fritz. Even though Ted Cruz is incredibly unpopular, it's like, yeah, well, he still stands a really good chance of crossing that finish line because he'll do anything for the Republican cause. Biden says U.S. to carry out airdrops of aid into Gaza in coming days.
This is by far the worst situation I've ever seen. The desperation is just beyond belief.
Unfortunately, among innocent civilians, especially children. The impact of the war on children is probably something that I haven't seen in any other place. In every other conflict, people had options to leave to other areas within the same country that are safer. But here, people are stuck. There's no place to go.
Even we saw a 6-month-old pregnant woman completely dehydrated, and we were resuscitating her on a cold floor. There is no bed, no mattress, nothing. She just come in for IV fluids. And we saw many disabled children, like children with cerebral palsy and special need kids.
Man. And we really are complacent in this, man. The United States really is complacent in this. Israel could not do what the Israeli government could not do what they're doing if it wasn't for all the help they got. President Joe Biden on Friday said the U.S. would carry out airdrops of humanitarian aid into Gaza in the coming days. Speaking in an Oval Office meeting with Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, he referred to what he called the tragic and alarming event in North Gaza on Thursday, in which more than 100 people died as they rushed food aid to trucks and Israeli forces guarding the trucks opened fire. The loss of life is heartbreaking. People are so desperate that innocent people got caught in a terrible war, unable to feed their families. And you saw the response when they tried to get in, he said. And we need to do more in the United States. We need to do more in the United States. We'll do more. In the coming days, we're going to join with our friends in Jordan and others in providing airdrops. I mean, okay, great. Like, people will need this, but like, just make it stop, man. Like, like, these are like such minor band-aids. Just make it stop. In addition to expanding deliveries by land, as I said, we're going to insist that Israel facilitate more trucks and more routes to get more and more people the help they need. No excuses, because the truth is, aid flowing to Gaza is nowhere nearly enough. Now, it's nowhere nearly enough. Innocent lives are on the line, and children's lives on the line, and we won't stand by. And okay, blah blah blah, whatever. Again, just make it stop, man. Cool. You can send stuff in there, but make it stop. We got Donald James in the building. What's going on? But yeah, no, I mean, that's, for whoever gets the aid packages, that's great, but that's really not going to help you that much. All right, so let's see what Nikki Haley has to say. Let's see if this is good. This may be good, but it may not be, because, like we discussed, I mean, how can Republicans ever talk about abortion in a way that is going to be positive to people? Because the Republican movement is the reason that Roe was reversed. And then, Roe v. Wade was the middle ground too. So I have a strong feeling that while whatever Nikki Haley's about to say may have some merit to it, it's probably still going to be some bullshit. She says the fellas just don't know how to talk about this. And yeah, that's true, but you're a Republican.
Let's turn to abortion, because I want you to hear what the former president said last night about this issue.
More and more I'm hearing about 15 weeks, and I haven't decided yet. The number 15 is mentioned. I haven't agreed to any number. I'm going to see. We want to take an issue that was very polarizing and get it settled and solved so everybody can be happy.
Now, you've said repeatedly that you don't think a federal abortion ban is possible because of where the votes are. But should it be GOP policy? And what are your thoughts on what he said?
I mean, look, you can put a number on it, but I think that's the problem. That's the problem, because all that does is divide people. It demonizes the issue. It gets people's backs up. That's the wrong way to look at how do you save as many babies as possible and support as many moms as possible. The only thing we should be talking about is consensus, is what can 60 members of the Senate agree on.
Is that 15 weeks?
I don't think it's 15 weeks. If it was, you'd have it now. You don't have it now. And so that's the part, is why talk about a number? Instead, get the senators in a room and say, okay, where does 60 agree? That's the way.
I mean, she's not even finished yet, but basically what she said is that there's no solution to this. And there's not. There's really no solution to this. All that's going to continue to happen because of the reversal of Roe v. Wade is that the blue states will protect abortion and red states, for the most part, won't. You'll have Kansas, you'll have places like Ohio that'll come out to protect it. But, if not for the people showing up to the polls for years to come, this is just going to continue to be a Republican push, given the fact that it's been a Republican push for decades. But now the Republican Party is more crazy and right wing than it ever has been before. So there's not going to be a discussion where everyone can agree. It's over for that. Y'all fucked that up. Like, y'all fucked that up entirely by striking down Roe. There's no agreement that's going to be had. The reality is, and this is a fucked up reality, but it's the truth. The reality now is that blue states will protect abortion and red states will not. That's just what it is. It's just what it is. Until there's some type of national law that basically makes what Roe was come back, it is what it is now. And that's the sad truth. It's just the truth. Well, I mean, because what the fuck are we going to do about it? I'm all ears, but the reality is that y'all fuck shit up.
We need to do it. In order to find that consensus, the focus needs to be banning late-term abortions, encouraging adoptions, making sure doctors and nurses who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them, having contraception be accessible, and making sure no state law says to a woman who's had an abortion that she's going to jail or getting the death penalty. Just start there. The fellas just...
But again, why are we, that's the problem. Why are we even starting here? We solved this shit 50 years ago. Why are we starting here at all? This shit, bro, these people fucked this country up, bro. Like, they really fucked this country up with this shit, man. This is not going away. It's not.
Don't know how to talk about this. They've got to humanize this issue and stop demonizing it. This isn't about a number. This is about babies and women and a personal situation that they are in.
She has yet to say anything about what the ban should be. What should the limit be? 15, 20 weeks? She said, no, I don't think that. We have to come together and find an agreement. But she has no real suggestion. And the reason she doesn't have a suggestion is because she's fully aware of everything I just said. Y'all fucked the shit up.
And it should be handled with that kind of respect, not just throwing out numbers and then expecting.
And again, this is why Democrats are going to do well overall in November, because this shit is crazy, bro. These people are crazy.
People to choose.
I want to switch a little bit, actually a lot, to the issue of IVF. Earlier this week, Republican Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith of Mississippi blocked a bill that would have enshrined federal protections for IVF and doctors who perform those procedures. Do you think there should be federal protections for IVF?
I think we want IVF to be as accessible as possible to parents who are wanting those blessings of having a baby. I don't know the details of any of the bills, so I can't weigh into that. But what I can tell you is we don't want to take that away from parents who desperately want to have a child. Michael and I got our children from fertility processes. We need to make sure that those are available, that they're protected, that it's personal, and that the whole situation is dealt with respect.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I mean,
Well, she has said nothing this whole time because there's nothing to say.
Say that you support IVF. I think at this point, most people are saying they support IVF. The question is, as policy, given the fact that it is under fire in places like Alabama, should there be a federal protection, or do you think it should be left to the states?
Well, I think there should be federal protection that we allow for IVF places to be able to function. I think that the people need to decide if they want to get into the details of it or not. That's, it's the same thing of, do they want to?
Oh yeah, Donald, the presidency's in trouble. I mean, again, we in trouble there, but everywhere else, it's just clear, and it's not like we don't have history to show. Like, I mean, come on, like. But yeah, no, 100%, which is overall really good for all of us. You know what I mean? Like, it really is. Unfortunately, we got the Biden v. Trump situation, but everywhere else, this is what we're dealing with. She's been talking for 3 minutes and has said absolutely nothing.
Decide, exactly how many embryos or anything like that. I hope they don't get into that. I want to see that decision between the parents and the doctors. But I think the only thing that the federal government should do is make sure that IVF places are protected and available,
and not get into the
this is why should people even have to think about any of these things? Like kind of like when you're signing up for private health insurance, and it's like, if you don't have it through your employer or something, or you don't have Medicare and Medicaid, it's like every year you have to go shopping for your health care. And what benefits do I want? And what benefits do I not want? Like, I mean, this is just so dumb. Nobody wants to think about this shit, man.
whole
not
question
get
of
into
whether an embryo is alive.
We don't need government getting involved in an issue where we don't have a problem. We don't have a problem with IVF facilities. If you have a certain case, let that case play out the way it's supposed to, but don't create.
Such BS, man. Such BS. And again, like I said, this just happened. So we really don't yet know the full extent of the damages because not enough time has passed. I mean, that's just the truth. But man, let 5 years go by. Oh, the data we gonna have to look at is gonna be crazy. And it was and for what? Like, because again, it's like at the end of the day, y'all want to win elections, and you are now losing elections because you did this. So what was it for? What was it really for at the end of the day? All this damage for nothing. Fox host stunned Comer didn't ask Hunter Biden a single question after finally getting him under oath. Again, this is another one of those stories that like I haven't really been paying attention to because I mean, who cares? But it's always funny when you see stuff like this because it's like you didn't have a single question for him. I mean, that just goes to show how this is. It was never about nothing. It was always some BS.
Madeline Rivera is live in Washington with the latest. Hey, Madeline.
Hey, good morning, Ainsley, Steve, and Brian. The transcript of this closed-door deposition revealing several testy moments between the first son and House Republicans. Hunter stresses his father, President Biden, was not involved in his business dealings. What he does admit to is putting his father on speakerphone with his associates and inviting him to drop by on business lunches. Hunter pointed to personal tragedies like the deaths of his mother and two siblings as the reason why he always takes his family's calls, saying, "I'm surprised my dad hasn't called me right now, and if he did, I would put him on speakerphone to say hi to you and to Congressman Raskin and everybody else in the room. It is nothing nefarious, literally." He talked about a trip he took on Air Force Two to Beijing in 2014. Hunter says he introduced his father, who was vice president at the time, to a Chinese business associate, Jonathan Lee. Hunter, though, denies it was a meeting, saying the incident happened at a rope line. Hunter saying, "I introduced my dad to Jonathan Lee and a friend of his, and they shook hands, and I believe probably took a photograph. And then my father went up to his room, and I went to have coffee with Jonathan Lee." Hunter maintains his dad never received any money from China. He was asked, "Your father, he's never interacted with any of your business associates. Is that correct?" Hunter says yes. He was then asked, "Did you receive money from China or not?" He says, "I received money from a Chinese company." House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer says the next step is a public hearing. Hunter's attorney, Abby Lowell, says his transcript means there is nothing left to ask, answer, say, or do. Steve, Ainsley, and Brian.
Another standoff. Madeline, thank you very much.
So now Republicans want to see him. Now Republicans want to see him in front of everybody.
Yeah. You know, the odd thing, speaking of Republicans, you know, James Comer, who ran that committee, he apparently left the hearing early and did not ask a single question.
Huh.
How weird is that?
It's very strange.
He's been calling for him to come in. Hey, we want Hunter Biden. He didn't ask him a single question.
He finally got him in the room, and he was like, I'm gonna cut out early. I got to take a shit, man. I ate too much jerk chicken yesterday. I'm sorry, y'all. I wrote my questions down." James Comer he's just a dumb guy, man. Like, I mean, good Lord. You watch any interview with him, and it is clear that there's just not a lot going on up there. Just not a lot going on up in James Comer's mind. His mind does not work very well or very quickly, but we can say these kinds of things because he's a member of Congress. So it's fair game. You know what I'm saying? It's not really nice when you call people slow in normal civilian life, but hey, look, man, you an elected member of Congress and you a slow motherfucker. I don't think you should be there, man. You a little too slow of wit for me, but hey, you're a Republican, so it fits. Cryptocurrency industry spends millions attacking Katie Porter in California Senate race. The crypto industry, they coming back with a vengeance, man. But no, that's mad funny. This dude spent that's I'm sorry, that's again, it's you made that like the pinnacle of what your brand is right now for your career in the house, and you finally get my man's in there, and you got nothing. All right, so let's see what's up with this. This isn't playing, but I'll just read it. Nothing wrong with reading. Okay, again, cryptocurrency industry spends millions attacking Katie Porter in California Senate race because, you know what, this honestly is funny. I mean, it's not surprising because Katie Porter, again, she's a warrior. She's a fighter for stuff like this. In the crypto industry, I mean, it's there were so many scams because of the lack of regulation. You know what I mean? There were the lack of regulation just made it so that there were just endless rug pulls, endless scamming, no real oversight. But even without all of that oversight, crypto in a lot of ways is dead, man. I mean, it's still around, it's still going to be a thing, but the hype train around it, that shit ain't coming back, man. It shouldn't, but it's not coming back. You know, there don't need to be 800 different kinds of cryptocurrencies. I mean, it's all your right to create them, but you know, like there's no real efficiency in that. So it's fun. I say all that to say it's just hilarious that they're spending all of this money, right? They're spending all this money, but for what? Like the hype train ain't coming back. There's an unexpected player in the race for California's open U.S. Senate seat, the super PAC Fair Shake, which is backed by the heads of several cryptocurrency companies. The Political Action Committee has spent millions on ads disparaging Rep. Katie Porter. Rep. Adam Schiff led in most polls as of Thursday, but who he would face in November remains unclear. Porter and Republican Steve Garvey have been virtually tied in the polls, and that's why crypto's big bet against Porter could have an impact. Quote, big corporations understand that I am in the fight for a more fair economy. This isn't really about crypto. Yeah, good assessment for sure. Because again, like I said, like the hype train around crypto it's really not coming back. You know what I mean? Like it's just not. So that's a good point that she laid out. It's really not just about crypto. It's about uh the finance industry in general. It is about a handful of the most ultra wealthy billionaires in our country who don't want someone to go to Washington who will focus on making our economy more fair, and they're running negative, shady ads. Again, very true. It's about the bigger picture because, bruh, it's fucking cryptocurrency. But it's not just crypto that Porter has to fight off. Schiff has been running an ad that attacks Garvey, who Porter says Schiff would rather face in November than her. Quote, he's trying to lift up a Republican in order to eliminate a qualified Democratic woman from the ballot, which is me, and that shortchanges Californians. We haven't had a robust debate about the future of California in a number of years. We haven't had an open Senate seat in a long time. We need to have 2 Democrats on the ballot all the way through to November so we can talk about what's different between us. Agreed. That's why I say, man, Katie Porter, she's gonna continue to have a very successful career. She's just good at this. You know what I mean? And she's strong. She's a strong. You can feel her strength just reading this. In an interview on Thursday, ABC7 asked Schiff about whether he's trying to boost Garvey. Quote, it's totally fair game to set aside and set out the differences between myself and Republican leading candidate in this race, Steve Garvey. We're all on the same ballot, and Mr. Garvey is out on Fox attacking me. Representative Porter is talking about one of the other Republicans in the race in her ads on Fox, so I don't really think she's in a position to criticize. That's a fair response. That honestly that's a pretty good response because he's not like really attacking her. This is a very good political response. This is how you respond to things, okay? Not nice. I'll give it to him. Nicely done, sir. You left the door open to be friends with Katie Porter because again, I think that it's hard to dislike her. It just is. I mean, rather let me say this: it's hard to not respect her. I think that's probably because I could see why people wouldn't like her. But it's so easy to respect someone like Katie Porter because Katie Porter is one of those people that you better damn well respect. There are people like that. You know, there are people in this world that you better respect because if you don't, they're going to give you some problems. And she's one of those people. So this was a good response. And again, it also shows that Washington is well aware of Katie Porter. And she's not doing bad in the race. She really isn't. It makes sense that Adam Schiff is beating her in the polls because he has more just Democratic establishment assistance. He's a bigger player in that game. So for Katie Porter to be, you know, well, she was at 18. She was at 8. She was at 18. She's like 7 points down. For her to be 7 points down right now, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So she really doesn't have any reason to feel down about this if she doesn't win. Go ahead and run again in 6 years. You know what I mean? But no, I really like Katie Porter. Something else that will impact this race, the very low turnout that's already been seen. Porter argues that the best way to boost turnout is to have a competitive runoff in November between two Democrats, herself and Schiff. But yeah, like I said, I'm not worried about Katie Porter at all. And what I mean is I think we're going to be seeing plenty more of her for a long time. She's just getting started. I really believe that she's just getting started. And again, she has absolutely no reason to hang her head low if she doesn't win. She probably won't, but go ahead and keep on doing what you're doing. I hope she does. I really hope that she does. Yeah, that's true. And that's true. If Schiff wins, then he might be there for a long time because the elections are so slow moving. And if you just have more power as a senator than you do in the House, you just do. One of the reasons is because there are less senators, and another reason is because you're there for 6 years. So among other things, but let's keep on cheering on Katie Porter. Hopefully, she can catch up because there's still some time. But that concludes Friday's live stream. We covered some good stuff today. We had a good time. I'm going to do a nerd news tomorrow, and we're going to start having more broad discussions. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I will do that tomorrow. I'm going to get these clips up. I got some other stuff to do. But yeah, man. Biden's got to really kick Netanyahu in the ass. He really does. He's got to shape him up. Because not only would it obviously boost Biden's polling numbers and his chances of winning in November, but it would also make him look strong. It just would. If Joe Biden gave Netanyahu the boot and said, bruh, listen, you need to knock it off, and he meant it, that would be a reminder, honestly, to the world that, motherfucker, this is America. We're America, bitch. And if you don't do what we say, we'll blow you away. And while that's really not a good thing, hey, man, use it, goddammit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still have that in the arsenal. Even though it's not a good thing, we still got it. So use it. You know what I'm saying? Tell these Tiny Tim motherfuckers that if they don't do what we say, we gonna stomp them. And they'll listen. Because what the fuck are they gonna do? Nothing. And that is the power of the empire. So, look, we got it in the arsenal, so just use the shit, okay? Just use it. All right, here we go. Now, we had a very good time. Y'all have a fantastic evening. Hope you got some fun plans, but I'll see y'all tomorrow. And I love and appreciate all of y'all, man. Let's keep the fight.